Is it possible to get to 100,000 subscribers in 2 months? Yes, it is. Is it possible to quit your job and go full-time YouTuber? Of course it is. And in this episode, I'm interviewing Jesse Davis, who did just that with one of the channels that he started. He's got multiple channels now. He had a fantastic way of testing his audience at the start that I'd really like you to pay attention to. So this episode is definitely worth listening to all the way through. Jesse is such a humble guy, and he's got such a fantastic, amazing way of delivering absolute gold throughout the episode. So pay attention, listen up, and enjoy the episode. And don't forget, if this is the first time listening to the YouTube Success Podcast, make sure you subscribe, follow, like, share, all that kind of jazz wherever you're listening from. And don't forget to review the episode as well if you get a moment. All right, thanks so much. Go and enjoy the episode.
My name is Jesse Davis, and my family and I started a channel for my daughter back in 2017. We were doing family content on YouTube, and that blew up in a big way. And since then, we've started many other channels, and we have big pages on Facebook, Instagram, and even TikTok.
Wicked. And you say that so you fly through that story so well, but there's so much that I'd love to talk about. And
so much to unpack.
Yeah. Firstly, when you say it's a family channel, like when I remember you starting this, you said, and again, please correct me if I'm wrong here, it was something like you started the channel to pay for your daughter's university or something like that. Am I right, or is it totally off?
Well, my daughter was 8 at the time, and it wasn't really about money. My daughter was an actress in Bangkok, so we live in Thailand, and we had been doing television, TV casting, acting. Even I had been in TV series in Thailand, and like I saw that all of a sudden when kids hit like 8 or 9 and they started losing a lot of teeth and they started being less in demand, that all of a sudden like they just ran out of work, right? Like kid actresses are like, oh, industry's like, come back when you're 16 or 17, then we'll talk to you then. But this awkward phase, we don't want you. And I felt like my daughter is really talented. I mean, she did work for KFC and Disney and Oreo and Nintendo. And she'd done like 40 commercial jobs, and then they're just gonna like toss her away like some used rag. And I was like, as a dad, I'm like, no, this is not cool. My daughter's super talented. Wouldn't it be so cool if she had a way to showcase her talents and abilities? And so we created this YouTube channel, kind of more for her to kind of grow into as like a longer term sort of career play. And we always just said like money's secondary. If we get some money, it's cool, right? But I had a job at that time, so money wasn't the big deal. It was more about sort of fame and building a platform.
Okay, and I like that idea actually, because it's a big point. We talk about money. Money means a lot of things to a lot of people, and if you're in a very tough situation, of course, finances is something you focus on a lot. But what I see personally in the most successful channels are people that start channels based on something they're passionate about. And of course, it's easy to be passionate about your family, right? So
my daughter, right? Sure.
Yeah, exactly. And I've got 2 girls, and so I know it's a great story to have done something selflessly to help your daughter along the way. So another thing that I really talk to people about is being strategic with your content, strategic with how you get stuff out there, and of course going from 0 to a million subscribers in a year means you have to have been strategic. And I sent you the questions before, and I said, what was the biggest mistake? And you said, Matt, there wasn't really a mistake. We had a perfect launch. So can you tell us in as much detail as you want or as little as you want, what that came like, because you're working a tech job, right? So you wasn't a YouTuber at the time. Nope. You didn't have any of that knowledge. You were starting from nothing. I remember you asked some quite basic video questions at the time. You were just getting to grips with the cameras and all that kind of stuff. So how did you create that strategy around that, Jesse, at the start?
So well, I took the attitude that I know nothing about this, about YouTube, about video. So rather than coming and saying like, oh, I think I can do this, it was more about, okay, I need to start at the ground level. And the only way I was going to figure out all this YouTube and video stuff is if I did it over time, right? Learning over time. So on my commute, I was listening to a lot of podcasts, listened to a lot of Gary Vaynerchuk, listened to some other YouTube specific podcasts. And I just kind of like kept inhaling information, just, good stuff just coming in, best practices, what to do, what not to do, don't do sub for sub and all that stuff. And so rather than me trying and making a whole lot of mistakes, I just absorbed all the best practices. And then I started my channel that way. But we did have strategy. So you're right. And some of the strategy was that we had a few concepts. And one was, if we go after attention, money will follow. That was one of them.
Yeah.
And another one was that we're going to identify our target audience. And even though we didn't know what that audience liked, we basically sort of, what's the marketing term? Like an avatar, like kind of create an avatar of who your ideal target audience is. And so we decided that we were going to go after little Thai girls that are aged maybe like 6 to 10. And we just kind of listed out 14 ideas of everything that we thought that they might be interested in. And so when we started the channel, we did all of this stuff. And the only way that worked was because we produced so much content. I think the first month we released about 52 videos, which is like a year's worth of weekly content in the first month. So sometimes it was like 3 episodes a day. But very quickly, because of that data and by building our channel to move fast, we were able to get feedback and we were able to adjust right away. So out of those 14 ideas, little show segments, we cut 7 of them out right away, like within the first month. Because clearly like nobody was interested. And then we focused on the stuff that was doing good. And later on, every year we'd review it again and we'd drop a segment out or like add a segment in. But we had a kind of a scientific approach to it, and it was methodical and it was blazingly fast. And one of the last pieces of strategy that I think we started with that I'd like to talk about was sort of our work ethic and our attitude, knowing that we could not keep up with that level of pace forever, but that we were going to work hard for a season. And that season ended up being a very long season.
Yeah.
I think we've produced probably close to 4,000 videos for our family in the last 5 years. But we just basically built for speed and just went at it. Boom.
Okay, so there's a couple of things I see that are really interesting. The first, most obvious one is that initial. I work with business owners, entrepreneurs who struggle to do a video a week, and here you are pushing out 50 videos in a month. How did you organize that with the family? Like, you've got a job, you've got a family life and all that kind of stuff. Like, do you think, sorry, I'm asking a couple of questions here, but do you think the work ethic that you got from your daughter being in the shows and that kind of thing helped you structure that and plan that amount of content?
I don't know if that helped with the speed. But we certainly were around that. So we saw how the crew would work. We saw how they were organized. And I think at that point, I couldn't take too many things away. But like right now, it's really helpful because we work like that, right? Like we have multiple crews going out daily. And so, all that industry experience helps. But I think in the beginning, the thing that actually really helped is prior to me getting into the tech industry, like the travel industry the job I had. Before that, I was an app entrepreneur, and my wife and I built apps and games. And we were building like stuff that was quick, or we would use pre-built code and we would reskin the graphics to make like another game. And we were releasing like 30 games a month. So we had this like rapid fire digital production mentality. And while Apple didn't like that so much, they want like, one high quality game. YouTube loves it, right? They're like, hey, give us content, daily content. Great. Keep at it. So we were able to kind of just go full throttle, but kind of our process was, and part of this was controlled by the fact that my kids were in school, right? So I couldn't film during the week. So I would be going to work during the week, and then the evenings and weekends that's my production time. So I mostly had to edit in the evenings, and then we would film on Saturday and Sunday all day, pretty much. So yeah, we'd be doing like just 8 hours, 9 hours straight filming, like 2 days a week. Just getting a lot of videos in, and we slowed down over time, but it was just like a lot of just anything that came to mind we did. And they were short, fast, fun videos, just real freestyle, shot with an iPhone and 2 LED lights. That was it. No audio, nothing fancy. Yeah. So I mean, now we have a much higher focus on quality, but back then it was just quantity. Just get it out, get it out, get it out. And fortunately, our target audience didn't care. Little Thai kids are like, they're not like, oh, this megapixel count isn't as high as it could be, so they're like, oh, okay, is it fun? Yeah, cool. But it's really about the content, right? Like, the content is more important than all the tech stuff.
Well, and I just find that fascinating because actually, as I'm hearing you and being a techie, a geeky techie myself, this view that you've got of like quantity first and review the analytics and what that's telling you, and the bit where you said like you cut half of the ideas out, like it's the opposite of what most people do.
Right.
And so that's fascinating because obviously whilst you're doing the opposite, it allowed you to laser focus in what you were really doing. You've got this consumer viewer first view at the start anyway. Who are these viewers going to be? What are their, you said about the 14 interests, like really laser focused on, we're not just making content for us to grow our business or anything like that. It's like, what do people want to consume? And I just love that idea that you've beast moded that 52 videos, but it gave you so much data then to really own into what was working and that kind of thing. And now you've told me that app story, it makes total sense that actually, yes, you had that experience, the commercial experience, but actually it was probably more your analytical experience from you and your wife doing the app stuff that you understood how important the data was, and to trust the data and to change things as you go.
Yeah, it was really kind of like almost apples to apples, like kind of comparison. Like with the App Store, your app icon is super important, right? Because that's what people see on the App Store, and it represents your app. And for YouTube, the thumbnail was like that important. So I kind of like from the get-go put a lot of emphasis on having a really eye-catching, colorful, fun thumbnail. And because that's your billboard. That's what gets people to come in and watch your video. And so, yeah, it's kind of funny because, as entrepreneurs, we look at failure as like, oh my God, I suck. I mean, at the time I was like, I'm just not cut out to be a business guy, I guess, because my app business failed. But really it was like all this amazing experience that was setting me up for this next thing that I was going to do. So
yeah. Oh, totally. I don't believe experience wise you're failing anyway. It's always just more knowledge to take with you to the next thing. And clearly that experience that you had paid dividends in the next part of the journey. When you publish those 52 videos, you said you were focused on thumbnails. How much did you focus on like SEO and the other parts of YouTube that we often think of titles and SEO and like, was there like a strategic promotion kind of marketing plan at that point, or was it just publish and see what YouTube does with these videos?
So yeah, SEO is a good question because on the App Store, it's usually called ASO or App Store Optimization, and Apple and Google work a little differently. But still, we had actually a lot of background because that was our big marketing strategy was SEO basically. So we already had like a lot of good SEO best practices, sort of like wired into it, and most of that transferred right over. Like your title, the first, the titles are weighted stronger towards the beginning of the title, so we would put more important keywords there. I wouldn't say it was a mistake, and I think earlier on, like, and this was like 2017, SEO played much of a bigger part in getting your videos discovered. But now that I know how the algorithm works a little bit better, and now that it's probably changed a little bit, SEO for YouTube has really kind of fallen by the wayside. It's nowhere near as important as what it was. And you could have an amazing video with one word in the title, and Google Brain, their AI system, is smart enough to figure out what your video is about just based on AI recognition of the content of your video, as well as analyzing the verbiage. So it's like, no matter what, it's going to figure it out.
Yeah. That's good. And I want people to pay attention to the fact that you're talking about 2017. This is not your journey is not a 10-year-old journey, is it? It's a,
nope.
I mean, your journey in business and the App Store journey and all of that experience that's clearly obviously had a good impact on this is longer.
Yeah.
But 5 years, I mean, the 1 year to $1 million is insane, but beyond that is also incredible what you've done.
Yeah, it didn't stop at 1 year. like we kept growing. So I've got 2 channels that are over 1 million subs, and our main one is, I think, around 7.3 million currently.
Yeah.
So it's one of the bigger channels in Thailand. And then, we've got several million plus follower Facebook pages, 1 million plus follower TikTok page. And I think we've amassed about 7 billion views, not including TikTok. So yeah, like we've been busy.
And we talked just before we started this, you talked about your transition. So you've got this big channel, it's in a kids niche.
Yep.
And things are going really well. And then the COPPA thing happened, or COPPA, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And you've now got to make some kind of decision to adjust. So can you tell us a little bit about that, and then how and I suppose the other part to that as well is, were you doing a lot of stuff on the other social networks at that time?
Yeah, so we had some presence, but not a lot. So for those of your audience who does not understand what COPPA is, or COPPA or whatever, it was the Child Online Privacy Protection Act, enacted by the FTC or enforced by the FTC, the US FTC, and the Federal Trade Commission then sued YouTube for about $140 million. And of course won, and people are saying like they got off easy because they knew that YouTube had all this child data. And people are like, oh, it's about, bad stuff for kids. And that's not what it was about. It was about YouTube was knowingly collecting data from children, right? And part of that was their ad platform. And their ad platform is data driven, right? So contextual ads being served to kids was making them a lot of money. And so what they did was, now they had to make you start labeling your content as kids or not for kids. And we were, my daughter was getting older, so it was kind of getting like on the line of what was kids and what was not for kids. So we made kind of a very conscious decision, after seeing our ad revenues cut by 80%, to, hey, let's maybe look for a different direction to go in the future. And that was a very good call, because right now things are as bad, or if not worse, than what they were a couple years ago for kids channels. And it's just, they haven't gotten a break. And so we started pivoting towards seeing what older content we could do as a family. And one of the things we noticed, we had a lot of older relatives that would come over to help with the channel. We started doing skits, and we started realizing that like these weren't really heavy on the kid side. Like it was more like a story for adults. And it happened to have a kid actor in it here or there. And we noticed that these started popping on Facebook. And Facebook doesn't have a lot of kids on it, right? It's all like older adults. Yeah. And so we knew that, hey, this was a real, genuine for adult type of content. We started doing more and more of them, and it was doing pretty good, but it was just killing on Facebook. And we got monetized on Facebook. So a lot of people don't know that Facebook runs in-stream ads, which is very similar to YouTube AdSense. It's much more difficult to get monetized on Facebook, but once you're monetized and you can drive views, the payouts are like 3 times better, or at least in our opinion,
amazing.
Or our experience. So we were like quadruple dipping, because we were making 3 times more on Facebook, plus making money on YouTube. So then all of a sudden our business started doing really good by focusing in on these. And we still do the kids and family content on the weekends, but Monday through Friday, we've got multiple teams filming at least 2 episodes per team per day, and we're adding a third. So that's done really well for us. But yeah, mainly on Facebook, right?
Yeah. And that's fascinating because it would be quite easy for you to stick to the one platform and focus on that, given that you've got this huge audience. But it's nice to see that you made the decision. I know you cut the COPPA thing, kind of push you down that road, but even so, you could have still stuck to your guns and continue down the road you were going in. But actually, it's good to spread yourself out across the multiple platforms. One thing I think, because a lot of my audience, they're smaller businesses, maybe even one-man band, so to speak. Like when you talk about having 2 teams, maybe 3 teams, for those people that are just doing it on your own, and you talked about you and your wife and your family doing this stuff over the weekend, like what advice would you give them if they're getting started? I mean, I think for you guys, like you was already in kind of like a view of working hard and being part of production teams and stuff with the way that you did, but it still must have been hard to manage all of that stuff at the same time, especially when you were working as well. Like, what advice would you give people where time is really limited?
So I think the thing is that you can't invent more time, you can't add it, but you can be more efficient at it, right? So it's really like being honest with yourself about like, what can I give up? That time where I watch Netflix at night, should I watch Netflix or can we use that as production time? So that's really key. And one of the other keys is when it comes to being efficient with time is batching. Batching for content creation is so key, because what tires people out is you have to wear many hats when you're in YouTube, right? Okay, now I've got to be a writer, right? And now I have to sit in front of a camera and be an actor, and now I have to go over here and become an editor, and then after that I got to be an SEO expert, and then I got to be a graphic designer for the thumbnail. And like switching these hats, boop, 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 tires people out, right? Because they're not used to doing that kind of thing. So one of the things we did, and this is a very practical tip for any video creators out there, is to batch everything. So that means Monday is your writing day, and you just write as many stories as you can, 2, 3 stories. And then, maybe the day before that is your research day, right? You got to research and come up with some good ideas, try to see what's happening, what your audience is watching, get some input so you can, create. And then maybe Saturday you have a day off of work. So that's, you get up early in the morning, you set up your studio, you got all the lights going on. And then once you're in that filming mode, it's just, episode, just bang, 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 bang. And then Sunday, you get back on your computer, and today is just edit. All I'm going to do is edit all day. And if you do that, you can produce 2 to 4 clips a week easy for most creators.
So what I'm hearing you say is that if you've got excuses about doing this stuff, ask yourself, how much Netflix am I watching? How dedicated and committed am I to actually making this work? Because strategy is one thing, and we talk about strategy a lot, but actually the dedication and commitment that you had, and it's really funny. It's the old fable, you get out of it what you put in. And it sounds to me like as a family unit, you all decided like this was something that was really worth committing to this, because during that, I mean, first month, but I would imagine for a long time after that, your family time was eaten into, right? Like, I know you had fun making a lot of the videos, everyone's kind of committed to having fun, but still there must be some like military operation style stuff going on to try and make all of this work whilst you're trying to still be a dad and a mum and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think
how did that affect your dynamic as a family, I guess is the
so I think it was pretty tough, and I won't beat around the bush, and I'll tell you that it definitely took some toll on the family in some way, shape, or form. my daughter is a trooper, and she put up with all this. And I think she's a little getting on the burnt out side at 14. But we've listened to her, and one of the things that I think we tried, because we knew that this could be really damaging as a family to go that hard for that long, and we would kind of have sit down times at least once a month, sort of mental health checks, right? And kind of be like, hey, is everybody okay? How are you feeling? Um, what's your opinion? Is it too much? And it was nice because my daughter would actually give me some honest feedback and be like, you know what? It's pretty good, but when you say this or whatever, I get stressed out. And, so we've been able to kind of adjust. And probably recently, my daughter's hit 14. She's in middle school. And she kind of said, Dad, I'm really proud of everything that we've done, but I don't want to work my entire childhood, And so after she said that, I was like, okay, well, maybe it's time to kind of like recalibrate. So now we only maybe film a couple times a month. And she has a pretty normal childhood for the most part, but we've scaled way back, on her channel just for her sake, mainly. But I know it was tough. It's very stressful. My wife is the one who's really the workhorse of the family. She's the one I give all the credit to for schedule, because I'm both techie and artsy. I like cameras and I like video and settings, but my brain's all over the place. And thank God I have somebody like my wife who grounds me and says like, okay, today is production day. Today we're doing this. Today we're doing that. And having somebody like that on your team, if you're not like that, is awesome to kind of keep you on schedule. So much of YouTube is about discipline and really just staying on that schedule and keep producing content.
Yeah, absolutely love that. I think we're all just going to agree that our wives are the best part of this deal is them keeping us on track.
For sure.
It is so important though, whether it's your wife or your business partner or whatever, having somebody that supports you in that way and really playing to each other's strengths. And, like you say, you're the techie and the artsy guy in the partnership, but it really does help to have the different strengths and being able to lean on each other in that way. So great to hear that works out really well for you.
Thanks.
So, we talked about, okay, it's not all just about money, but let's talk about brand deals, if you don't mind. And
okay.
What I'm kind of interested in, I know you've got a lot of deals going on and stuff, and you work with loads of huge businesses and stuff now. Like, what I'm interested in is, like, when did you first get your first brand deal, and how did that come about? Let's just go down that road a little bit, Jesse, if you don't mind. Hey, sorry for the interruption. Whilst you're listening to the YouTube Success Podcast, don't forget that we have a free community over at youtubecommunity.co.uk. I'd love to see you there. You can talk about the podcast or you can talk about anything related to YouTube. So head over to youtubecommunity.co.uk and I'll see you there. Back to the episode.
Okay, sure. So I think the first brand deal, we grew so fast. So we got a silver play button in about 5 months. And we were so new that we just weren't on the radar of companies, or marketing agencies. And so we had this kind of thing of like, hey guys, we're here. And I think we decided we just need to start somewhere. So we reached out to, it was some like online company sales. I'm trying to even remember what it was. It wasn't like super famous like eBay or anything. And we just said, hey, we do kids reviews stuff. Can you send us some toys? Maybe we'll review them. So they were like, okay, and they sent us a couple toys and, products for free. And we started there. And I know some people I've heard argue like, well, you got to value your time. You got to charge all this stuff. And really, like, we were after experience, and we wanted to have a track record. And I wanted to know that if I was going to Nestle, that I could say, hey, look what we've done in the past. We know how to handle brands. We know how to handle your business. And at that point, I didn't know how to handle it, like in the beginning. So I did start approaching companies. Now, I would be amiss to tell you if I was a pro at brand deals, because I'm really not. Because we became such a force in the industry, like in our little country of Thailand, we started getting approached by a lot of brands. And so that made our job real easy, right? Because I don't have to reach out and email people. They're contacting us. And so we've done many brand deals for, all sorts of drink companies and vitamin syrup and toys and, everything you can imagine. And it was really fun, but right now we're kind of like, we're out of the toy phase. And because we're so focused on our new thing, we've almost like completely turned down all brand deals. We did one this past week for a music video for a cosmetic company, but I kind of don't see us handling too many more of those. They can be really time consuming. So even aside from just like, the idea and then the production and the editing, which that's what you see, but what you don't see is like all the back and forth with the marketing companies coming up with ideas and proposals and pitch decks. So really they can kind of drag out over like a month. And this one brand deal, I think we started at the end of last year and we just finished shooting it. So they can take a while.
The bigger it gets, the harder it gets, right? Like there's just more people involved and they want to make sure it's right and it's worth the investment, all that kind of jazz. So
right. The one thing I can recommend, because I like to have some little practical takeaways that somebody's like, oh, hey, I could try this, is come up with a rate card. So I have like this little JPEG graphic, and all it says is the name of, Brianna's Secret Club or the name of my channel. And then it says, some bullet points like top channel in Thailand, one of the in demand, blah, 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 this many subs. So like a couple little bullet points is just like, what our value is. And then here's a rate package or, one or two rates and, contact us for more information. It looks professional. It's simple and easy, but, somebody asked, because a lot of companies will just ask for your rate card if they're serious. And so it's nice to have that handy where you can just be like, check out my rate card. And if you're interested, let me know. We can negotiate, blah, blah, blah. But it's a good starting point and it makes you look really professional. So you always want to have some marketing materials ready to go for your company. And then when you reach out to them, you can say, hey, can I send you my rate card?
Yeah. To be honest with you, it's nice to hear what you said right at the start. You approached a few people, they gave you some free stuff, and that was enough. Like, I totally agree. I recommend people have a rate card. I usually say, like, imagine it's going to take you a day to create the video. Like, what is a day's worth of value to you? Like, what would you charge somebody, whatever your business is? That's the cost you can demand for this thing, and you could add production value and editing, all that kind of stuff with it as well. But actually, like for me, with some of the stuff that I've done, I've worked with some companies where, like, if it was Logitech, they could just send me some gear because I love gear and I spend the money anyway. So, like sometimes that's okay. And it's just a good way to get the experience, like you say, to understand what they want out of it, how to talk to these. If you're not used to talking to corporate people, it can be quite daunting at the times, So getting that experience and just understanding how that relationship works is really important. And then, like you say, the bigger it gets, the more people involved, the more they want to get out of it. So it can become a bit.
It's funny you mentioned Logitech. The last brand deal I did for these headphones from Logitech.
Right, there you go.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, please send us more stuff. That's great.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd definitely be doing that as much as possible for gear because I spend so much on gear. Amazing. Thanks for that. That's really, really great advice. You said there, I'd like to give these little tips. Honestly, Jesse, everything you said so far, I know this, like even in my community, they will absolutely love the advice and the story that you've given us about your experience. So there's not just little bits, there's some great stuff there.
Good. Yeah. I can be like real high level, overall arching strategy, but sometimes it's hard to,
Yeah, you don't know where people are at, do you? Yeah. But I mean, the thing is, I think I asked we've got a WhatsApp group for the community, and I said, like, what would you like me to ask? And of course, it's always quite high level stuff. But actually, for me, when you talked about the 14 ideas and then ditching 7 of them, like it's those kind of things that are really key that people often skip over because they're not prepared to do the analytical work. Like I'll publish the videos, I look at views and then I'll walk away, and it's like, well, that's not the only metric, and there's so much more around it that you need to pay attention to, and actually be prepared to post a video and for it to not work and post a completely different one and it flies, and then okay, let's do more of them then, because it's clear that that one's working better. Or it might fly the first time and not the second time, and
Yeah.
and adjust as you go. So yeah, paying attention to all of that stuff, I think, is the bit that a lot of people don't put the effort into, maybe.
Yeah, and listen to your audience. Like I know I mentioned we tested a lot of the things, but a lot of it was because we didn't know what they wanted. And a mistake I see a lot of YouTubers do is they're like, no, it's got to be quality and it's got to be my way, and I'm gonna do this, and the audience is gonna have to like it. And it's like it's almost a little arrogant,
Yeah,
like saying that you think what the audience wants, and then they have to like you because of it. And it's always like, how do I get more views on my videos? It's like, well, why don't you make videos that your people want to watch?
yeah,
It's more about the other way around. So it's kind of being a little bit humble, like trying to understand that there's two partners in this dance, and you have to kind of bounce and play off of each other.
yeah. And you're taking people's time and attention, so
Yeah.
you need to give them something that they really want to watch, because otherwise they're just going to be annoyed more than anything. And maybe that leads to leads nicely to my question about comments and stuff. With your kids channel, did you have comments on? Or
Yes, we did.
yeah,
We've always had comments on, unless YouTube turns it off or
yeah,
there's a distinct problem, which occasionally has happened.
yeah.
But
So did you get any negativity? Was it all positive stuff? Like, what's the tell me about that side of the story? And what I'm really interested in, obviously being a dad as well, is like, how did that work for your daughter? And did you like collectively read them, or did you just not bother reading them? Like, what was the deal there?
well, fortunately, at the time, my daughter could speak Thai, kind of like okay, and my mom, well, my wife, her mom,
Yeah,
would help her out with a lot of Thai. Say it like, no, say it like this, and so she would do a lot of parroting. But when it came to reading, she couldn't really read, so it was never an issue because she just couldn't read the comments, and I couldn't
yeah,
read. I would translate the comments, and somebody would be like, "How dare they?" It's 8-year-olds. They're trying out every bad word they know, like to see what it was. But um, my daughter was never affected by it. Um, but what we kind of learned was to get a bit of a thick skin. So even when somebody leaves a bad comment, they're taking time out of their day to write something about your video that they took the time to watch, and that still eventually kind of helps you more or less. Like you're getting attention, right? Whether it's good or bad attention. And I look at it as like take the most famous leaders in the world, Churchill or you know Abraham Lincoln, right? Half the country hated their guts.
yeah,
These are like the most famous guys, right? And still, so many people hated them. But you look at any famous figure in history, and they all had people hate their guts. And so I just always remember that no matter what you do, no matter how good you are, there's gonna be somebody that hates you. And for me, it's always come back to one thing: validation. It's validation that I'm here. It's validation that I'm going in a strong direction. And I don't care if I upset your feelings. I don't care if you think I look like an idiot. That's cool. That's your opinion. But I'm going to keep doing my thing. And if you like it, cool. If not, oh well. And it doesn't bother me anymore. Like, and I think all of us are kind of like, whatever.
yeah.
It's delete, block, move on.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of thick skin, because definitely when you get started, like, we've got experience, right? We've been doing videos and stuff for a long time, so it's coming. I don't get it, obviously, anywhere near like what you would get comments wise anyway. So I expect there's lots more to filter through, but you just kind of. I like the idea of somebody's going to hate it anyway, so you may as well just do it and see what happens. And the majority of the time you've got a great fan base that loves what you do, and I've
That's
seen
right.
when you've created new channels, they've rallied around to support you in the new channels, and all that kind of good stuff. So obviously you're doing something right, even if there's people that are not that happy about it. But
That's right. And the funny thing is when you mentioned the fans that support you, a lot of times, like somebody writes something really nasty, and I almost felt like stepping in, and blocking or banning, and the fans just eat them alive.
Yeah, yeah,
Like they will take them to task, and it's a funny how really riled up your fans get defending you. So I would say in most cases it's fine, and if it's it, I would say this to anybody: if it ever starts getting in your head where it's affecting you mentally, you can't sleep, you just think about it all night, or you're having a great day and then you see that negative comment and then your day just goes downhill from there, and you just can't handle it, turn the comments off. That's it. Just turn them off. I mean, it's better to not have any comments at all than to have something ruin your day. And nobody wants that, right?
Yeah, totally. But and I get that, but just know it's coming. Just know it's going to come and expect it. And
Mm-hmm.
if you've got that thick skin, it certainly the first couple of times it feels personal. But for me, I just feel like there's some now. I feel like what's going on in that person's life, like something's going on in their life, and this video that I've created or this piece of content I've created is where they need to get it off their chest. It's never about me. It's all about what's going on in their life. So
Yeah,
when I
that's
look at
very
it
true.
through that lens, I feel like, okay, a lot of the time I'm always like, how can I help? What's going on? Do you want to have a conversation? I actually seen this quite a bit on Instagram Reels. There's a few times where I've seen people leave really terrible, horrible comments, and the person that's posted has just been really kind and nice to them, and you see the conversation completely change. It just flips because they don't expect to be treated with kindness with this, nasty comment that might be.
And they feel bad, right? That's
Yeah,
great.
totally. Okay, so you mentioned a couple of people. I've got a question here just about like who do you look up to? Who do you admire on YouTube? I mean, you mentioned Gary Vee and a couple of others. Like not so much just when you were getting started, but also now. Like, who do you see and you think, oh, they're doing a great job. I really like what they're doing. Anyone that comes to mind?
Yeah, I don't like being a broken record, but I was fortunate enough to get to meet Jimmy, Mr. Beast, at
Yeah,
Vid Summit last year, and like, man, what an awesome guy! I
yeah,
mean, he makes me look like a lazy sloth that's doing nothing. Like, he's like, oh yeah, I'm doing this charity and this channel. We're doing gaming videos over here, and then I'm surviving in a crashed luxury liner, like luxury jet. I'm like, this guy is like doing so much insane stuff. I know he's built an incredible team around him, and I got to have lunch with Chandler and some of those guys. But I mean, really, I think across the board, the entire industry has just nothing but respect for this guy. I mean, he's as legit and as nice as they come, and it's so awesome to see good things happen to like a really great guy. And so I like that. But there's so many creators that I just think are really making great stuff. And I know my son and I always love a lot of engineering channels. We love like Mark Rober and the Hacksmith and some of these guys. We just love seeing them build stuff, and it gives us ideas to build stuff. So those are some of our favorite YouTubers. But I don't know. What's your favorite YouTuber? Which ones do you like?
Well, I'm the same. Miss Beast is up on the list, of course. Actually, when I first went to Vid Summit, I wasn't really into YouTube. I'd had the video company for 7 years, traveling doing corporate videos. But I wasn't really into YouTube. And when I went Vid Summit, I showed my daughter the list of speakers, and I was like, "Can you tell me who these people are? Because I don't know." She was like, "Oh, Daddy, you've got to meet Rebecca Zamolo." So I met her, and she gave me this lovely video for Willow. It was her birthday, and I said, "Could you do a little video and say happy birthday to her?" And so I got this, and I kept hold of it for like 6 months because it was way before. So obviously I consume some of her content, but then just for me, what I like about consuming content is more like and you being a techie and an editor would appreciate this, but like cool ways a video is put together. Like I look for nice transitions or little cool things where, even like I sat next to a woman, I completely forget her name now. She's huge on Facebook, for recipe videos. She did a session at VidSummit. This is why I love VidSummit. She did a session. I watched the session. She taught us loads of stuff, and then I happened to just be sitting next to her on the next session. She came and sat in the audience and sat next to him. We got talking about it. But she built her whole business around these quick recipe videos, and there were quick edits, and everybody does them now, But I just think I just look for that all the time. If I see someone and they've got a really cool edit, I'm like, I know what effort that took to create it. So I'm like, yes, I'll follow you. So I think the editors of the world are probably ones that are rather than the personalities.
But it's funny, like when you're in it, you there's certain things that you look for that you appreciate. Like, wow, that shot took a lot of planning, or like I wouldn't have done it like that. And that's always impressive.
Oh, I think, Jesse, like you talked about Mr. Beast and the stuff that they're doing. I think a lot of people watch that for entertainment value and all that kind of stuff. But definitely me and you are watching it going, how did they do that bit? What was it? The team must have been amazing to do this thing, So there's definitely a different lens you look at once you become a creator and you're thinking like, okay, I need to make some cool videos. I don't think you ever watch videos the same again. I remember I went to film studies at college, and I remember when we first watched it, we analysed Psycho, and the teacher said to me at the time, he said, you'll never appreciate videos just for entertainment anymore. You're always going to be breaking them down, and it's true. It never stopped.
Yeah, it's like such a curse. So lately I've been less amazed by like quick edits in YouTube and things like that for entertainment purposes, and more of like, now I'm doing this professional team that's kind of close to TV quality. Drama videos. And so I'm always looking at like, hey, how can we, push the quality level more? Like, what lenses can we get? What shots? How does this team film that? I'm like watching like my wife's watching Thai TV, and I'm like, ooh, this is a really good shot. Like,
yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah, totally. We watched Ambulance. I watched it on the plane. We went to New York recently, and again, I'm looking and I'm seeing all the drone shots, and I'm like, oh, when we first got a drone, there's no way we could get that shot. And then I was watching them, and I was like, oh my god, it must have been amazing. And then I saw a video with the director, Michael Bay. I can't remember who it was, the director. But he was talking about the drone pilots and saying like, there's no way we could have done this film in that way, without these amazing pilots. So yeah, it is a curse. I'm glad you used that word, because that's what I say. It's a curse once you get into it, because you just can't sit and enjoy films in the same way.
You can't turn it off. You can't turn it off.
No.
Video production mind.
Last thing I'll ask you then, just because we're talking about techie and geeky stuff. You talked about filming on an iPhone at the start, and you've moved around equipment. Like, what do you think's a piece of equipment that made the most difference, like after the iPhone? Because the obvious one is the iPhone. You had the iPhone, everything you had was in your hand, available to you right then. You could film. But when you started to move from that, like, what did you notice as the best investments?
I've being a tech geek, I've got a lot of equipment. When we moved from an iPhone, we moved to the Canon M series. So I had an M6, which is similar to the M50. And what I liked about it was more microphone options, more modular. It wasn't about the video quality so much, but I liked how you could kind of fix the settings the way I wanted. And I liked how, I could have a removable microphone, or I could switch to a wireless if I wanted to, and I could mount it to a tripod. It was just like, and removable memory cards. That's a huge thing. I hate phones trying to like connect cables and get the videos off the phone. Yeah. It's horrible. Like, but being able to just pop that little memory card out and just stick it into the computer, and then bam, all my videos are there. That was kind of a game changer for production. And then from there, we've gone through many cameras. Probably the biggest maybe camera that made like kind of a big impact on us was the Canon EOS R. Going up to a full frame, newer camera, mirrorless. That camera still to this day produces just amazing quality video. We love the colors, and I've got 3 of them now, and I have 3 R6s, and still I think the EOS R's have the best color. Like it's such a good camera for the money right now. They're all discounted, but if you're a budding filmmaker, that is a good camera to pick up for the money. So depends on what you're using it for. You know, they're never a perfect camera, but that one was probably a real, that one with a Rode VideoMic Pro Plus and a wide lens. That's like our go-to YouTube setup. You know, we're always running around with that thing.
Yeah, and it's I think the transition you just said from iPhone to compact camera to mirrorless, you probably missed the digital SLR stage, because mirrorless would have been a natural. I think the compact camera was mirrorless, right? So
what's fun? No, the compact camera, the M6 is, the M6 is mirrorless. It's one of the small mirrorless, but not full frame. No, it's not the full size. We had a 60D, a Canon 60D, which was like the first generation of Canons to do video.
Yeah.
And so I originally, before we did my daughter's channel, we tried to do like a Lego show, and that camera didn't work for it. There was no autofocus. So it was like I had to like set the focus manually, and then like, okay, everybody stay right here on this plane. Do not move. Keep everything in focus. So I like that. I can't deal with this. So then we just use the iPhones. But after that, like the newer autofocus systems are like so much better with the face tracking. So almost anything you get now is like pretty good. Filmmakers have it so easy. Like the amount of storage space you get for $20, the shoot all day on 2 batteries. Like it's ridiculous. Like filmmakers from even 10 years ago would be seriously jealous at the stuff you have on the shelf right now.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I had a couple of Lumix GH5s, and the autofocus on that was always shocking, and I love that camera, but it's the exact same issue that you talked about, And then when I got my latest Sony, and everything just works as quick as it did on an iPhone or a compact camera. And that's the thing that annoyed me the most, is the more expensive they got, the more manual they became. Right. And whereas now I've got a Sony A7C that I'm doing this on, and it's just, you just turn it on and everything works, so away you go. But yeah, I feel that pain. And you had it 2017. I think we started 2013 with we started with the Canons as well, 7D or something like that.
70 is not bad.
Yeah, I could bore you to death with all the camera talk for sure. But yeah, I was just interested. It's nice to see that you went through that transition through the cameras, and a great message for anybody where camera and gear is an excuse, because you got started, and presumably in that first 12 months you were still on the iPhone until you started to move to something else. So
gear is never an excuse.
Never an excuse. Don't let that stop you getting to the first million, because
I've seen some amazing filmmakers shoot entire commercials on an iPhone or like a high-end Android phone, and it's just jaw-droppingly amazing. Really, to be honest, a lot of it's lighting, a lot of it's good audio, a lot of it's knowing where to stand and where to position things. Like taking a filmmaker course might make you have better videos than upgrading to a better camera. I mean, eventually, my attitude towards gear is if you have a company and you're making money on video, you kind of almost owe it to your fans to make sure that their support is going towards a better experience for them. Yes. So that's how I've always treated gear, is that like, hey, I'm going to give back to the fans. If it's within my power to make this video look better for you guys, I'm going to do that.
Yeah, actually, it's a thing that I talk to about a lot of entrepreneurs in the online space. There's a lot of business owners where they sell in digital courses, and I get on the digital course and it's a Zoom call, and it's on this terrible device, and I'm like, yeah, but I've spent $2,000 for this course. Like use the money that I gave you to upgrade your gear. Yeah. Just give me some level of expected quality level, But when you're starting, using your phone and Zoom is fine. There's no issue there. But the more you level up, and like you say, if you're a business owner, you're making money out of this stuff, then upgrade where you can,
Yeah, if you're pulling in 6 figures a year on a course or 7 figures, like
Yeah.
get an okay camera, right? Get a couple lights. Like, there's like a definite decrease in quality, or like what do they call it? Diminishing returns, right? So there's a certain point where you kind of get diminishing returns. Like things will look a little bit better if you spend a lot more money, but just get the basics. Get have a decent microphone, have at least a couple lights, an okay camera, like at least a modern higher end smartphone is good, and you can make awesome stuff.
Yeah, totally agree. Wicked. Jesse, thank you so much. This is 8 months this has took us to finally get here. I paused it back in January, but I'm so delighted to have spent this time with you, and I really, really appreciate you taking the time out to do this. I know it's late for you as well. Thank you so much. Where can people find out more about you and your channels and all of your YouTube stuff?
Okay. If you want to check out my daughter's channel, it's in Thai, but you can see us at Brianna's Secret Club TH. And if you want to find out more about me, I do also do YouTube channel reviews. If you want me to check out your channel, you can head on over to prochannelreview.com, or you can reach me at jesse@prochannelreview.com. And I'm happy to answer your questions. My policy is if I can always take out 15 minutes of my day to help somebody, I'm going to always do that for free. So if you have a quick question, shoot me an email. And if you want me to do an in-depth review, I can do that too.
Wicked. Amazing. If you send me those links, I'll stick them on the episode when we put it out as well. Jesse, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time. Have a wonderful rest of your evening, and I'll speak to you very soon.
Okay, thanks. See ya.
Take care. Bye-bye.